Hello, third graders. Today we are going to learn about pollinators. So we've been learning about plants, and now is the point in this unit where we would start to learn about how plants get pollinated. Pollinators are animals that move pollen from one flower to another flower of the same kind. This results in fertilization and seed production. Honeybees are a common type of pollinator and maybe the one you thought of first, but there are other types of pollinators as well. Like other types of bees. There's actually 16,000 different species of bees besides the honeybees. Butterflies are pollinators, beetles, flies, some birds, and bats. And basically, when you're thinking about a pollinator, it's just any animal that moves pollen from one flower to another flower. We are going to concentrate on honeybees. So here are some pictures of some honeybees. This is the worker bee, the drone bee, and the queen bee. And you can see they look a little bit different. The queen is the largest occupant of the hive and the only one of her kind. Every hive only has one queen. She is an egg-producing factory and can produce 1,500 eggs every single day. The eggs hatch and either become drones or workers, but there won't be another queen. The drone makes up about 10% of the hive. The job of the drone is only one job. It's to fertilize the queen so that she can lay eggs. And only one drone is needed for that job. The rest of the drones will stay in the hive and are cared for and fed by the workers. The workers make up most of the hive. That's 90% of the bees in a hive. These bees are all females, but they can't lay eggs. The workers are the smallest bees and they never stop working. They work all the time. They feed the larvae, they build, clean, and guard the hive. They control the hive temperature and they collect nectar and pollen. So they have a really big job to do. Here is a closer look of a diagram of a bee's body. Now, if we were at school, I would actually pass around dead bees, and they can't hurt you. I know a lot of you probably feel nervous when you're around bees, but the dead bees can't hurt you, and they weren't killed for our classroom use. At the end of the season before winter, a lot of bees will die naturally, and they'll collect those dead bees and then sell them to companies who sell them to teachers to use for observation. So if we were at school, it would be so cool because you guys would each get your own bee to look at and you would look for these different body parts. So you would look to see it's an insect, so it's divided into 3 parts. And you would find where the head is, where the thorax or midsection of the bee is, and where the abdomen is. You would notice the eyes. The bee has 2 large eyes and 3 small eyes, those little eyes right there in the middle. You would notice the antennae, which are really important. The antennae actually are responsible for 4 senses. The antennae are responsible for touching, tasting, hearing, and smelling. You would take a close look at the legs. If you look at my picture, how many legs does the bee have? That's right, 6 legs. And you would take a close look at these wings. And you would see all the detail on them and take a really close look at them. So that would have been a cool thing that we could have done at Pinewood, but those are the parts of a bee's body. Now, the next thing we would have done is we would have taken that dead bee and we would have glued it on the end of a stick. And then these are the way that our plants should look if we were growing them at school. And we would take the bee and we would actually have it gather some pollen from one flower, and we would move that pollen to another flower, which is really cool. I wish I could show you a video with the Wisconsin plants I'm growing at home, but they seem to have stalled. The plants really haven't changed since like day 7. I don't know why. They're not growing taller and they don't have flowers yet. So I don't know if they're just taking a long time or if there's something that was wrong with the seeds that I got. My bean plants, my sunflowers are actually planted outside in my garden now because they've grown so big, but the Wisconsin plants really aren't big enough. So if they get big enough for me to pollinate before the end of school, I will definitely share a video with you of doing that. But this is one of the activities that you would have done in your classroom to hand pollinate the flowers yourself. All right, let's take a close look at a beehive.
Honeybees are our most efficient and effective pollinators. So they pollinate lots of fruits and vegetables. We've invited a classroom full of BC kids to come down here and put on the bee veil and a bee suit for protection. We'll open up beehives and get them into the hive like a beekeeper.
I was like nervous. I thought that it was like, they didn't bite me. The next time we go, we could not be afraid.
A lot of kids are afraid of bees. And one of the things we want these kids to understand is that bees are immensely valuable parts of the ecosystem. They help produce the food we eat.
And they're like, when they're like moving, they're like not straight. They're like moving around.
We bring an observation hive to the classroom program. You get the oohs and ahs from all the kids. They can see the activity of the honeybees crawling around on the comb. They can find the queen, which we have usually marked. See the shiny nectar?
A couple of years after the First Lady, Mrs. Obama, established a vegetable garden on the south lawn of the White House, she decided to establish a pollinator garden as well and to set up a honeybee hive.
I think honeybees make a great vehicle to open young eyes that what's happening in nature is not just random chaos, that there's beauty and order to it. And I think this little creature creates a great opportunity to have children see that.
Thank you so much.
All right, so pretty cool about a beehive. At our school at Pinewood, we have a Pinewood peace garden. And so we usually plant a garden right now in the spring before you guys leave from school, and that grows over the summer. And pollinators are really important. Our garden would not grow without our pollinators because that's what makes the plants reproduce and make new seeds, and it's so important. Now, Mrs. Evans, who's a fourth grade teacher, she started a pollinator garden with her class last year. And so that would be another thing that you could visit. So next year when you're back at school, you can check out our pollinator garden, and you can check out our butterfly garden. We probably won't have any vegetables planted because we didn't plant them this spring, but maybe next spring when you're in fourth grade, you'll be part of that planting. All right, one more quick video about bees called Busy Bees.
Squeaks and I are enjoying a beautiful day outside the fort. Oh, look, there's a bee. What landed on that flower? Let's watch and see what it does. We'll get a little closer, but not bother it. There it goes, buzzing off to find another flower. You know, bees are some of my favorite animals to watch. They always seem so busy. But do you ever wonder what they do all day? You might already know that bees are insects, like ants and beetles. Like all insects, bees have 6 legs and 3 body parts. In bees, these body parts are often brown or yellow, and sometimes they're striped with both colors. Bees also have 4 wings. When their wings move back and forth fast enough to make them fly, they make a buzzing sound that we think of when we hear the word bee. And there's another part of the bee that you've probably heard about, the stinger. But not all bees have stingers, and the ones that do don't sting unless they have a really good reason to. Like when they're frightened, or to protect themselves, or to chase other animals away from their nest. There are lots of different kinds of bees, but the 2 kinds that you've probably seen most often are bumblebees and honeybees. Bumblebees are easy to spot because they're big and fluffy. Honeybees are a little smaller and don't look like they're covered in fuzz the way bumblebees do. Both kinds of bees make honey, but bumblebees only make a little, while honeybees produce a lot of that sweet, sticky stuff. And both kinds of bees also live in big groups, inside nests that we call hives. Do you want to see inside a honeybee hive? Let's have a look. This bee is the queen. No, she doesn't wear a crown, but she does have a really important job. She stays in the hive all day and lays eggs. Lots of them. After 3 or 4 days, these eggs will hatch and eventually grow into adult honeybees. Most of the other bees that live in the hive are workers. And worker bees, yep, Squeaks, they do almost all the work. There are lots of jobs for them to do, like helping to build the hive and keeping the hive clean. But their main job, the one that they do almost all of the time, is to look for food. That's what the bee that we saw was doing. She was getting food from that flower. When a worker bee lands on a flower, she drinks a sweet juice from the inside of the flower. This juice is called nectar. While she's on the flower, the bee also brushes up against the yellow dust that the flower makes. This dust is called pollen. So while she's gathering nectar, the bee also gets covered with pollen as she moves around on the flower. When the bee has as much nectar and pollen as she can carry, she flies back to the hive. She feeds some of the nectar and pollen to the baby bees and to the queen, and then she turns most of the nectar into honey. Bees fly back and forth all day collecting nectar and pollen from flowers and taking it back to the hive. When it gets dark, they go back to the hive and rest, and then they're up early the next morning to start again. If you've ever heard the expression, busy as a bee, now you know why we say that. So if you see a bee, you don't have to be afraid of it, but do leave her alone and give her lots of room to get her work done. And that work includes more than making honey. It has something to do with pollen. Next time, we'll see why when you bite into a delicious apple, you should thank a bee. Thanks for joining us on SciShow Kids. Do you have a question about insects or flowers or anything else? If so, get help from a grown-up and let us know. You can leave us a comment below or send us an email to kids@thescishow.com. And we'll see you next time here at the Port.
All right. I hope you guys really enjoyed learning about bees today. There is nothing to turn in. You can mark this lesson as done after you finish watching this video. Look for pollinators in your backyard and in your neighborhood. You can tell us what you know about pollinators or what you observe in the comment section. I hope you liked learning all about pollinators today.